Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to ELA with Mrs. J. Today we're going to talk about narrative organization. So, in your notebooks, let's go ahead and head to the Resources tab, and we're going to take notes on a new page. Again, if you want to use color, pencil, pen, doesn't matter, just make sure you follow along. So, we're going to go ahead and call this Narrative Techniques. Sorry, Organization. My bad. It's been a long day. All right, so narrative organization. I'm going to do this one sideways just because I think it's a little bit better to show kind of the sequence. So the order of events in a story or a narrative is also known as plot. So plot, hopefully, is a word that you guys have heard before. And we're basically going to draw something called a plot diagram. So every narrative fiction story is going to follow this same order of events or the sequence. The first part of plot or part of a story is going to be called the exposition. Number 2, we're going to have the rising action. Number 3, at the very top of our plot diagram, is called the climax. Number 4, we have falling action as the story starts to come to an end. And then finally, step 5, the resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a little arrow here for each of these parts. We're going to go ahead and describe in a little more detail. All right, so the first step is exposition. Every single story starts with some sort of hook, a question, a story, maybe dialogue, or right in the action. But the exposition's purpose is so that we can introduce the reader to the characters of the story, the setting of the story, and also the problem. We don't want to give it away, but we do want the reader to know those 3 things. The rising action is going to be a couple events in the story where the problem starts to get worse. So things keep happening, things keep becoming worse and worse for the character. For a story of embarrassment, things move up to this next part, which is the turning point. So this is kind of that action-packed part of the story where your character comes face to face with the bad guy. And maybe that bad guy is the character's own self. Maybe they're face to face with the fear right in the middle of that embarrassing moment. And then things start to come to an end. So a few more events, but this time, how does the problem become solved? So things are starting to get better and better until finally at the very end of the story, we have an ending. But so what? What's the happily ever after? What happens to everyone after the problem is solved and everyone goes back home? An easy way to do this when writing your own story is to come full circle. So if you started your story at the beginning of a school day, maybe you end your story at the end of a school day. So think back about how you started your story, and sometimes that'll help you with figuring out how to end your story. So again, I'm going to make this kind of look like a roller coaster because if you think about it, the parts of plot, or these 5 parts of a story, kind of are like a roller coaster, right? The action is building and building and building until you get to that point where things start to become solved. So again, this is called the parts of plot. Every single narrative story has one of these. And I kind of like to call it the story coaster. So think about these steps as you begin your own narrative story. So next, make sure you guys have that brainstorm sheet and it's all filled out and ready to begin writing your own narrative. Good luck.